Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Yesterday, Renegades launched, and I'm sure we're all enjoying running around with lightsabers and our new fancy blasters. If you're still working through the Legendary campaign or rerunning it, let me know what you think. But today, we're checking out our first Renegades build, and this one is pretty damn cool. It's like Bungie made sunbracers, but for our melees. Kinda. Also, in this build, the damage numbers we're putting up are equal to that and surpass the best melee Titan build right now, which I also have a video on. If you wanted to see that, there should be a card in the top right. But now, before we do begin, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm working to get a lot of content out for you guys. That's builds, informative guides, all of it. I also set a goal to try and get 25,000 subs for the new year. It's a big ask, and I really can't do it without you guys helping. So if you like what you see today, make sure to subscribe. Also, for your sake, I've included a dim link down in the description. There are also timestamps that you can use to skip to your desired info. Now, with that out of the way, what are we actually looking at today? Well, the thing we're starting with is our newly reworked Winter's Guile exotic armor piece. These gauntlets focus entirely on our melee and reads, melee and finisher final blows increase melee damage. With maximum stacks, you gain vastly increased melee regeneration speed for a short time. Now, looking at the first piece of this exotic, we have the escalating melee damage increase. This begins with one melee kill, powered or unpowered, or even a glaive melee kill. But here, at base, we deal 200 damage. Then after that kill, we have one stack, granting us a 67.5% increase, so we now deal 335 damage. This then linearly scales to 400% increased damage at 10 stacks for 800 damage. Now, our stack count isn't always going to be going up, as each stack will decay after 4.5 seconds, with you only going down one stack rather than losing them all at that point. Also, as a side note here, if you do a finisher, rather than getting one single stack, you will get 3. But now, circling back to max stacks, a couple things happen when we get here. One, we get a melee ability back instantly. Second, we get the Warlord's Fury Ready buff to appear. This buff acts much like Sunbracers Ready, if you're familiar with that, and is essentially a 7-second window where we can activate Warlord's Rage by using any melee ability. And once we do that, a couple more things happen. First is we now have a 500% increase in melee damage, now dealing 1,000 damage in a single melee. Second, you'll notice that our melee is regening very rapidly, enough to spam whatever you're using on repeat. And then the last bit is that our melee speed should be increased, but after testing, I couldn't figure out how. Maybe it's bugged or I'm missing something. We don't really need to worry about that. As for the details here though, this mode lasts 10 seconds, and when it expires, you will reset back to having 0 stacks of Warlord Sigil, requiring you to build up your damage increase again. But the way we're going to be using this exotic today is by pairing it with Lightning Surge. This melee ability does the most damage out of all of our Warlock options and can easily score multiple kills and thus multiple stacks with one single use. Also, it's just fun to spam this ability during Warlord's Fury when we have infinite melees. Now, moving on from our exotic armor for now, we're going to skip an exotic weapon. You don't need one for this build. You can use that lightsaber, blaster, mint retrograde from last season, you name it. This build will work regardless of your choice here. But there are some good options regarding legendary weapons, which I'll cover later. Again, there are timestamps down below. So our next topic is our subclass, which to optimize our melee build, we will be on Prismatic. Our super here is going to be either Needlestorm or Song of Flame. Needlestorm is fantastic damage option these days, which is great for raids and dungeons with the new one coming out soon. For our class ability, we can of course move while rifting now, but I still just kind of like Phoenix Dive for the shortest cooldown and the instant healing that it gives us. Our melee is going to be Arcane Needle. It's got high damage, 3 charges, and it can unravel enemies. And for our grenade, we run Cold Snap to freeze enemies for massive dark energy gains, and we get increased damage against them as well. And after that, we have our aspects. The first one is what we teased earlier, this being Lightning Surge. When sliding, we can activate our melee to do a blink that causes a bunch of damage, jolts enemies, and gives us a bolt charge depending on the enemy's hit. It also makes us amplified. So in game, we know it does a lot. First, damage. One use against Carl adds up to 1,115 damage. If we then get Warlord's Fury going, that's 5,171, which is a lot already. And yeah, we get all those other benefits too, like becoming amplified, which if you didn't know, makes us take less damage on top of making enemies less accurate against us. that subclass buff might be a little OP. But now, back in our subclass, speaking of OP, the second aspect, I probably don't need to tell you, it's Feed the Void. This aspect gives us Enhanced Devour on any ability kill. In-game, this means we get instant health back and some grenade charge whenever we get a lightning surge kill, and then any type of kill after that. It's busted, you know it. Let's move on to our fragments. First here is Facet of Courage. This is a very important one that increases our light ability damage against dark debuffed enemies. That's usually 10%, which is nice, but for melees, that's up to 50%, which is a very, very nice boost to add to our exotic armor increase. After that, we have Fast of Balance, which gives us a bit of our melee back when scoring light ability multi-kills. So essentially, our melee gives us back a bit of our melee. Then we have Facet of Protection, which gives us damage resist when near enemies. This is very nice for melee builds. And then we have Facet of Dawn, so whenever we lightning surge something, we also become radiant. This is a good combo tool for dealing with barrier champs. And finally, we have Facet of Hope, so our class ability is always on a really short cooldown. Now on from our subclass, we have legendary weapons and armor. Starting with weapons, you can use your lightsaber if you want, but you do have to swap off of it to melee. Mint Retrograde here is great, even Tenacious is good to get Transcendence energy from it, and I actually found myself using that plus Psi Eterna, the new Arc Rocket Pulse, to kind of handle everything. You can also, of course, use whatever blaster you want. However, I would really emphasize having some way to get Dark Transcendence energy. But now onto our armor. For our stat distribution, we want max melee. After that, super will be pretty high, so we can keep that at 100 or above. And then our third stat can be weapons or really anything else if you wish. It's fairly malleable. But the best thing to come from our armor is that we can revisit our melee damage with now having 200 melee stat. If we look at this, but also include the fragments that we went over, we now deal 7,352 from a single lightning surge, which is simply incredible. It's even more so if we spam it back to back. And yes, my current favorite Titan build, which does really good melee damage, only hits for about 4,000 comparatively. But now, before saying goodbye to armor, we have armor mods. On the helmet, we run an ammo finder, an ammo scout, and a siphon, matching your most used weapon. On our arms, we run triple heavy-handed, so on every melee kill, we produce an orb. This does have to be a powered melee though. Then chest is where we put an ammo generation mod plus resist for your activity. And our legs get an invigoration to regen melee on orb pickup, an absolution to generate even more melee and a bit of everything else on orb pickup as well, and then a scavenger for your special weapon. Then lastly, on our class item, we run a special finisher to make special ammo, a powerful attraction to vacuum of orbs on Phoenix Dive, and a proximity ward which makes us nearly immune when doing finishers. Now on from armor, we have our brand new artifact. Within, you don't really need much. The first I would use is Dielectric. This perk will heal us and grant us even more bolt charge stacks for just using Lightning Surge, as that ability will arc debuff targets. After that, we have Singularity Blade, which says when we have a void buff, melee hits will cause weaken. Devour is a void buff, and we have that at all times. You can then also immediately pair that with Void Infestation to cause that weaken to spread. All in all, these are going to help a lot, but as you can see, I don't actually have any of them, and this build does just fine as it is. So now finally, we have our gameplay loop. To begin, we want to focus on two things: gaining Warlord's Fury stacks and getting full Transcendence meters. Using Lightning Surge will get us kills for Winter's Guile, and it will rapidly fill our light meter. What we want to do other than that is throw our Stasis Grenade and use our Dark Energy weapons to fill our Dark meter. At this point in the build, which is us starting off and we have a couple melee kills under our belt, as you're building both damage stacks and Transcendence, your outgoing damage is great, but the ability regen isn't perfect. You'll be amplified with Devour, making you essentially impossible to kill, but you want to focus on picking up orbs and killing groups of adds at once to make the best use of your melee charges. If you're far from both max Warlord stacks and Transcendence, you can default melee, which actually scores kills on enemies pretty easily, even in the Legendary campaign. But assuming you do get max Warlord stacks first, you're just going to spam your melee. You got 10 seconds to do as much damage as you can, and you can actually choose to not use Lightning Surge if your Dark meter is really low. Arcane Needle is great for building Dark Energy, but regardless of what you choose, when in Warlord's Fury, you need to be meleeing. Then, once you're on the other side of that, you're likely going to be closer to Transcendence, which is what you want to focus on. So get the last bit of energy with weapons or abilities and then pop it. When Transcendent, I simply just melee with disregard to pretty much everything else. Our melee is increasing passively, and if Warlords pops, our melee regen is truly insane. But even without it, Transcendence can carry well enough. Just remember to actually throw your grenade. I often find myself slaying out so much that my Transcendence would last forever, and I would go through multiple full cycles of Warlord's Fury. It's a good time, and that's what you're always trying to build towards. If you come up against a boss or you lose every ability and every stack of your exotic armor piece, just pop your super. Song of Flame will regen your abilities if you're running that. But yeah, that's kind of it. Get dirty, melee stuff, and watch your damage skyrocket. It is a very fun time, and it's definitely a unique playstyle. With that, thank you for watching. Remember, there is a dim link in the description just for you. And if you're willing to help, I am trying to hit 20k subs, so maybe give me one. Also, as a complete side note for my mobile viewers, do you have a hype button, like where the likes are, I guess? If you don't know what it does, maybe click it. It does something about helping small channels. I'm not really gonna ask you guys to hype my videos, but it is an option, I guess. Regardless, thank you for getting this far into the video. Your viewership is greatly appreciated. If you want to support me, support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription, joining my Discord, link down below. And also, I guess hyping the video helps out a ton. But if you want to support me and support the channel, but you can't think of a comment, just comment down below renegades. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.